BRRRR strategy is the most bullshit strategy for a newbie. Why? Subto has 7 less processes involved to buy a deal
Than a BRRRR.
than anything. Okay, so let's talk about foreclosures, for example. Amazing list to go after. Why? Because it's a ticking time bomb. I can see on public record that you're going to lose your house. I can see when your ticking time bomb is going to blow up.
Yeah, blow up.
Greatest lead of all time.
Yeah.
Because I know you have to sell. You want to get into advanced stuff. When we send a text message to people that are in foreclosure, the first thing I ask them is,
everything you buy.
why would I use
subject to
seller finance?
Seller finance.
Everything.
Everything.
Businesses, my personal homes, cars, everything. Literally everything I own is all on credit.
I freaking love it.
Everything.
Literally.
I have $500 million in my portfolio. Not one time did I get a loan. Planes, trains, automobiles, businesses, houses, mobile homes, mobile home parks, RV parks. And you might ask, are there a lot of these deals?
Tsunami of them.
Tsunami. How many expired listings pop up every 30 days in the country?
How many? Holy. What's going on, y'all? This is Eric Cline with another episode of Refuse to Lose. And, dude, I'm super, super excited for this episode right here. And this is a long time coming for me. I don't need to introduce the guy. As soon as I say his name, you're all going to know who he is. I got the man, the myth, the legend here on the podcast, Pace Morby. And I am super, super excited to ask some questions and clear the air on why subject to deals are for anybody. Because prior to me doing this podcast right here with him, I'm of the mindset that it's for advanced investors only. You got to know what you're doing. You got to have a big bankroll. And I believe that right now. So I need Pace to be able to educate me, educate all of you, because I know a lot of you out there feel the same way that I do, because too many people talk about what I just said. It's an advanced strategy. So Pace, welcome to the Refuse to Lose podcast, man.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. How about yourself?
Really good. Okay, so Subto, let's jump into that.
Let's please.
So I have been wholesaling cash and creative finance deals for over 12 years. I started in the business as a contractor. So I was doing all the work for Opendoor, OfferPad, Zillow. I was their biggest contractor.
Okay.
I was Opendoor's first contractor when they first launched here in Phoenix, Arizona. I helped them go into other markets, and I knew my way around a house. Let's just say that. I think I did over 7,000 renovations for Opendoor, OfferPad, and Zillow before I decided I'm going full-time real estate.
Okay.
I started in cash. I didn't know anything about creative finance until month 2 I got in. And I got my first deal, made $25,000 on a cash assignment. I had no idea what an assignment was when I got my first deal, didn't know how to fill out the contracts, didn't know how to do anything. But I had a mentor, great mentor, name's Bethany. She came to me and she's like, "You're over here flipping my houses for me. You should be in real estate." I'm like, "Bethany, I am in real estate. Look at me, I'm flipping houses." She's like, No. You're a slave to my business. I'm in real estate and you are a Google search away from being replaced. You are not a business owner. You're a slave to my business. And the only person that is a business owner is somebody who owns the asset, owns the thing, owns the process, owns the structure, owns the thing. I'm like, "Okay, so you're telling me real estate agents aren't in real estate?" She goes, "No, they're not in real estate. They're service providers to people who own real estate." And she says, "Would you say a mobile notary is in real estate?" I go, "No, probably not. No, they're a notary." She's like, "That's the same thing as a real estate agent. They don't own the real estate. They're buying it. They're a service provider for me."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, well, how do I get a deal?" Very long story short, she helps me get my first deal by showing me how to send out mailers. I would never do that now. But I sent out mailers. I spent $5,000 my first month. I went on appointments. She went with me. She showed me what to do. And I got my first couple of contracts. I meet a title rep. Title rep says to me, "Who the hell are you? I've never seen you before. You opened up 3 contracts in your first month. Who are you?" I tell her. And I tell her where my leads are coming from. She's like, "Okay, so what are you doing with all your other leads?" I'm like, "Well, I got 20 leads. I closed 3 of them. That's incredibly good." Like,
Yeah, good conversion.
it's my first month.
Yeah.
20 leads to 3 conversions. I netted $50,000 assigning my deals to my mentor, Bethany. She flipped them. She went on her way. And my title rep says, "You are so dumb. You're like all these other cash wholesalers that are going to be gone in 24 months. All you're doing is chasing the red ocean. You're swimming in the red ocean." And I said, "What are you talking about?" She says, "Let's come back here tomorrow. Bring me your 17 leads that you say are not good, and I'll show you how to make more money on those 17 leads than you did on the 3. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I said, here, it's one of 3 things: tire kickers, people calling off my mailer that aren't even serious about selling their house, somebody who wants way too much money, and somebody who has no equity that I couldn't even give them a good enough offer anyway. Like, I can't help them. Okay. She's like, those last 2 are where you'll make all your money.
The no equity?
No equity, and the people that want way too much money.
Okay.
When I get those leads, I go, no wholesaler's going to touch these deals.
Right.
Man, and there's so many amazing strategies. I make way more money off the stuff that wholesalers just don't even try for. Seller wants too much money. What's the hardest part about wholesaling? Mindset. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So let's get mindset out of the way.
Right.
Okay. Mindset is by far the thing.
Yes.
Whether it's cash or creative. What's the hardest thing outside of that?
Getting somebody that will actually sell us their house deeply discounted.
The wholesaler understanding how to find somebody motivated enough to sell to you at 50 cents on the dollar.
Right.
It's, guys, this bullshit of 70 cents on the dollar minus repairs, it's bullshit. It's 50 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
When us YouTubers are telling you guys, oh yeah, go 70 cents on the dollar minus repairs and blah, 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 that's 50 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, right. Right.
Okay, so what's harder, okay? Me going to a seller and saying, I'll pay exactly what you want.
Yep.
Or me going to a seller and saying, I need to pay 50 cents on the dollar what Zillow says.
Obviously.
Okay, so which, just on the surface right there, that first question, which one, if I'm a newbie, which one would I rather start in?
I can give you what you want.
I can give you what you want.
Yes.
So Subto is assignable. So if you're brand new, why not just go, yeah, I can take over your payments. I'll give you a really easy way to do this. You can go on PropWire. I know you're friends with Jerry Norton.
Yep.
You can go on DealSauce. DealSauce is the software we use. You can go on DealSauce and go low equity, on market, 90 days plus on market that are represented by an agent. Send out an LOI to the agent and say, I'd like to take over payments and get your commission paid. Great. They have not had an offer anywhere near what that seller owes.
Right.
So you can go into DealSauce, you can go into PropWire, and you can find, I mean, right here in Maricopa County, if you do this filter right now, 1,800 people right now are listed over 90 days that have a VA, FHA, or a no money down type of loan that they bought 2 years ago, 3 years ago with a 2%, 3%, 4% rate. Okay. And they can't sell the house.
Right.
This year was what was it? 2024 was the worst year in 35 years for the retail market. Really? In 35 years, the retail market never sold less houses than they did last year.
Okay.
Okay. So what does that mean? That means agents are having a harder time selling houses. Days on market goes up.
Yep.
So out of the 50 ways I can go get a deal, the easiest one, I can lock up a deal in 15 minutes right now on my phone. No shit. And you should have me come back and we'll do it. I call an agent and go, hey, it looks like you've been trying to sell the house for 100 days. Would your seller just let me take over the payments? Agent's like, yeah, if my commissions are paid, absolutely. Let's get them signed on the dotted line. Great. What would I now do with that house? This is where cash wholesalers are so uneducated.
Okay.
Because the only thing a cash wholesaler understands is fix and flipper or some BRRRR strategy person.
Yeah.
Okay, well, guess what? Most of your audience is gone the last 24 months.
Right, right.
Interest rates go up and down and kick your ass. So BRRRR strategies, the last 24 months is all but dead. 90% of all BRRRR strategy investors are off the table. They're waiting on the sidelines. It's why Bigger Pockets views have plummeted. It's why people are not looking up the BRRRR anymore. It's on pause. Why? Because it's dictated by interest rates.
Yeah.
Same thing with fix and flippers. Fix and flippers are also dictated by interest rates, right? Okay. But who's not dictated by interest rates? End buyers. So why not just take a house? This is an easy way to do this.
Okay.
Why not take a house that can't be sold on the market, just take over the payments, get a contract, Subto contract, and assign it to an end buyer and make $20,000.
So you're taking a home that's been listed 90 days right down the street here.
Yep.
And they're not selling it. They're not dropping the price.
They can't.
Right?
Yeah.
Because of what they owe.
Because of what they owe.
Okay. And then you're calling the realtor and you're letting that realtor know, hey, I'll take care of your commission. I'm going to take over their payments. And then that deal you're putting under contract with an assignment clause.
Yep.
And you're assigning it to an end buyer.
Either an end buyer or a buy and hold investor.
Right. Got it. Is that novations?
I would never do a novation. You couldn't put a gun to my head and do a novation.
Oh, because you're doing an assignment clause.
I'm doing an assignment. A novation is one of the most dangerous things you could ever do. You have no actual contract. You have no ownership of the real estate. and you're out there flipping, and it's a whole thing. Another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
You want to get into like high level strategy. That is another podcast for another day.
Understood.
But executory contracts are what should replace novation agreements, and most people don't talk about those.
Understood.
So we'll push those to the side.
Yep.
So yeah, you're assigning to an end buyer.
And then for somebody that's going to keep them.
Yeah, like me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to do this. I'm as much as I'm not even worried about the audience right now. Like this is for me because I know for 3 years straight, I was doing volume deals in my Raleigh, North Carolina office. We were doing between 45 and 60 properties under contract. Yeah. Right. And we would have about a 50% fallout rate, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in all those deals I did one subject to deal, and it was an amazing deal.
Yeah.
So for somebody that's just getting started, that does not have 20 grand in the bank account, okay, and they go to take over a subject to or a mortgage, and there's a renter in there, and that renter goes out, and they got to go and dump it. Again, a newbie investor, they get an awesome deal. There's a renter in there. They go out, and they don't have the money to go in and take over, or let's say put some money into the property.
Okay, so we gotta make some really good foundational elements here.
Okay.
The average person that's buying rentals is who you're talking about. Like brand new, you're going to go buy a rental. What's the traditional way of doing that?
The MLS.
Okay, but what's the traditional method of doing that? The BRRRR strategy.
BRRRR strategy.
Which is what? 30% down, full W-2, tax returns, all that bullshit. Does that sound like a beginner strategy?
No.
Yet BRRRR strategy is standard.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's the most, I'm going to look right at the camera. The BRRRR strategy is the most bullshit strategy for a newbie. Why? Full tax, full W-2. I have to have seasoned funds.
Yes.
Not only am I getting a loan to buy the property, I now have to renovate the property. I have to know my good contractors. I have to do all of those things, add value, refinance with another loan.
Got it.
That's the BRRRR strategy.
Yes.
Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. So I got 2 loans. When I bought it, I got a loan. When I refinanced, I got a loan. That's a beginner strategy?
Got it.
That's the most bullshit strategy of all time.
I love it. Yes.
Yet people go to BRRRR and go, how do I get my first rental? Oh, their answer is, and by the way, I have the best-selling book for BRRRR. I love them so much, but I got to lay the foundation of BRRRR. Everybody in the world thinks the BRRRR strategy is for, hey, that's how you go get your first rental.
For a newbie. Right. Got it.
BRRRR, biggest brand in all of real estate, has established in everybody's brain, yeah, you're going to go buy a piece of real estate, use your credit. Then you're going to go refinance, use your credit again, all on one deal. And you're going to have 20, 30% cash tied up in the deal. Where's your reserves?
Right.
Bro, that's what they're teaching beginners right now.
Understood.
So with sub 2, let's compare the two.
Please.
I don't get a credit check. I don't need a W-2. I don't even have to, guys, you can be an illegal immigrant. You can walk across the United States right now. You don't even need a social security number, and you can take over somebody's mortgage at a title company. That's about as newbie as it gets. Now, the question you're asking of like, okay, well, if you are that newbie, okay, you got to ask the same questions for both sides.
Right.
BRRRR strategy, anything but a newbie should be doing that deal. Okay, because you got to save up cash.
That BRRRR is 100% an advanced strategy.
But they teach it as a beginner strategy.
I get it. Yep.
And in all of our minds, everybody's like, no, the BRRRR, everybody thinks that's the BRRRR strategies. That's beginners, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. So sub 2, now the same question exists. I put a renter in this property, roof goes bad. How am I going to cover that if I'm a newbie? Right? Where does that money come from? First and foremost, assign the deal if you can't handle it.
If you can't handle it.
Okay, you can't assign a BRRRR deal. You can't get a deal, get a loan, and then assign it over to somebody. You're stuck in that loan. In a sub 2 deal, I can go, this isn't working for me. Let me assign this deal over to somebody else. I have no ties, no whatsoever.
Yep.
The other thing about the sub 2 strategy is that I can bring somebody else's money to the table that doesn't have to be seasoned in my bank account. So what if I go, Eric, like right now, if I'm brand new and I go, hey, Eric, I got this amazing sub 2 deal here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a newbie, but I found this deal. It's 3.6% rate. Seller wants $5,000. Agent wants $5,000. Closing costs are $5,000. We're all in on this $400,000 house for $15,000 bucks. And I also want to have a buffer of $15,000. I got the deal will you bring the $30,000 to this $400,000 home? So you're at 8% into the deal. And I know I can cash flow this thing $1,000 a month on, let's say, a co-living model or something.
Yep.
Would you 50-50 with me on that deal?
Yes. Yeah.
Guess what you can't do in the BRRRR strategy?
You can't do that.
Because somebody's using their credit, somebody's using their tax return, somebody using all those things. It's way more complicated when you start getting credentials in the mix. Subto doesn't require credentials, okay? Now, here's the argument that I think people do make with Subto is that it actually is so easy to do that you can get in trouble. The BRRRR strategy is not easy to do, and so it prohibits a newbie from ever doing it. And so they have to force themselves to learn years and years of bullshit that they'll never really use long term.
Right.
Subto, I can go buy a deal today. So Subto has 7 less processes involved to buy a deal
Than a BRRRR.
than anything. Think about a cash deal, like a hard money lender. They're involved. They're going to get an appraisal. They're going to get an insurance policy. Subto has none of that stuff.
Right.
No inspection period if you really don't want one. You also don't need you don't need an appraisal. You don't need any of that stuff.
Got it.
So when you remove all of those requirements, what really is the easiest strategy on the planet?
Subto.
By far.
Got it.
By far. And I don't just do Subto. I probably do 60% of my deals are seller finance, which is way easier for people to understand.
Clear and free.
Usually clear and free. Sometimes they've got some debt and then they have a bunch of equity. I call that a hybrid. So I'm taking part Subto, part seller finance.
Yep. That was my very first
deal.
Creative deal in Wisconsin. It was a hybrid.
Yeah, hybrid. So I coined that phrase about 12 years ago because nobody was calling it anything. I was like, I got to make sense of this in my brain. Anyway, so I look at a cash deal and I still do cash deals to this day, but I watch everybody else competing on the same deals. Okay, so let's talk about foreclosures, for example.
Yeah.
Amazing list to go after. Why? Because it's a ticking time bomb, right? I know you have pain. I can see on public record that you're going to lose your house. I can see when your ticking time bomb is going to blow up.
Yeah, blow up.
Greatest lead of all time.
Yeah.
Because I know you have to sell. Well, what's happening is everybody's competing on those deals except me.
They're competing on them to try and do a cash deal, wholesale deal, right?
This is what we do. I always offer cash.
Yeah.
Because you never know. And I go, hey, look, I imagine I'm going to be somewhere around all these other knuckleheads that are calling you. They're probably offering you around this price, blah, 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 somewhere in this ballpark. Is that right? And I go, oh, yeah. How do you know? And I'm like, well, because if I was going to do cash, I'd probably do the same thing. That's how people make money. Right. And then they say, what do you mean if you were going to do cash? I go, well, I can see on this software what you owe. I can see what you owe. I know that offer will not work. And I can come in and do X, Y, and Z. I can take over your payments. I can help you do this. I have a deal. Like what's interesting about foreclosures as well, 90% of them don't want to leave.
The homeowner.
Yeah, they don't want to leave. So how is a cash investor, a wholesaler, how are they equipped to help that seller? They're not. I would argue, and I still do cash. It was my gateway drug into the business was cash wholesale. Yep. I love it. I'm so grateful for it. But I realized that 90% of the sellers I talk to, I can't help with cash. 90%.
Might be higher than that.
Yeah, it might be higher. So if I can help them with creative finance, there's 26 strategies in creative finance. There's one cash strategy.
Yep.
Lowball and pray. Lowball and pray. And then whoever follows up the best is the one that makes all the money.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
In creative finance, it's not like that. I can be an absolute dumbass, have zero follow-up game, and I just understand what you owe and what to do with that house, and I make more money. This is what's crazy. I'll give you a good example. So Brent Daniels, good friend of mine, good friend of yours, I imagine.
I know him, yep.
So Brent Daniels brings me a deal. This is probably 6 years ago. And he says, hey, one of my students is struggling with this RV park. This guy wants $600,000 for an RV park that has the ARV of 500 grand. How many times have you run into that seller? Thousands.
Yeah, all the time.
So I bought that RV park at 600,000 and it has an ARV of 500,000.
Okay.
Why would I do that?
You're about to explain.
I'm about to explain. So his student was offering the guy like 250. Right. Because that's what you have to do. In a cash transaction, you got to be at 50 cents on the dollar, roughly. So he offers 250. And if he did get the contract at 250, he probably would have assigned it for 25 grand at 250 to 275. And the buyer would have come in, done the things, gotten a loan, added value, done a refinance, the BRRRR strategy, right?
Yep.
I came in and I told the seller, I go, hey, seller, I took over the lead. Brent brought it to me. I go, no, dude, this is the easiest lead on the planet. A seller that wants that much money, that's the easiest lead on the planet. That's a layup for me.
Okay.
And he goes, okay, can I watch you do this? I go, sure. So I tell the seller, I go, look, if I'm going to give you the number that you want, you got to give me the terms I need. And I work out a 0 down, 0% interest seller finance deal. So who's going to win? A guy that buys the park at 300 with the BRRRR strategy and putting 30% down and using their credit, or the guy that bought at 600 but it got 0% seller finance? Who's winning?
You are.
By a long shot.
Yes.
I will pay $600,000. They will pay like $1.1 million.
Yes.
Okay, so that park, I still own it to this day. It's probably worth $1.2 million just in 6 years. So it's doubled in so much more in value.
Yep.
And that kid made 30 grand on the assignment at 600 grand versus $15,000 or $25,000 at 250. You make way more money in creative finance because I don't care about the price. I care about the terms, which you understand this.
100%.
So I look at this and I'm like, same, all my RV parks, all my apartment buildings, like we've got an apartment building we closed on last year, $20 million purchase, 160 units. Seller has it listed. He wants to retire. I mean, you know this, the sellers all have a motivation. And when a seller wants too much money, I know 99% of what the problem is. I want to retire. I know when I sell this asset, I'm going to have capital gains and it's going to take a chunk out of my return, but that's the remaining balance of what I'm going to have for the rest of my life. A seller that truly wants to retire is my favorite lead.
They want the monthly.
They want the monthly, but more importantly, they want the tax benefits.
Tax benefits.
Did you know that when a seller sells to you on seller finance, they can avoid all capital gains tax?
All? Even on the monthly payments?
On the monthly payments, they have to do something yearly to get rid of that. But on the, yes, the answer is yes. To get into the nuance, it's another podcast.
Understood.
So I go to a seller listed, I think they were listed at 18 million. We bought it for 19 million. And which is crazy.
You overpaid.
I underpaid in not my opinion, but factually I
got
underpaid.
Got it.
Factually I underpaid. So think about this. Last year, what were interest rates for apartment buildings? 8.5.
Okay.
8.5% interest on an apartment building. And more importantly, in the apartment world, for people who want to get into multifamily, the apartment world has what I call toxic debt. Like you buy your home that you live in, 30-year loan. You go down to the bank, you get a 30-year loan.
Yep.
In apartments, it's not like that. You get a 5 to 7 year loan max. Okay. Nobody's getting 30-year, 15-year loans. They're not getting them. So not only if I was a cash investor, I would have paid 8.5% interest. I would have had to put 30% down. I would have also had to, by force, refinance that thing in 7 years, no matter what the interest rates were.
Right.
So I go to the seller, I pay 19 million. He gives me 4% interest and he gives me 15 years. Who got a better deal?
100%.
And that property pays me every month net in my pocket. Like after every line item, I get a check for $53,000. The problem with wholesale is that it's so addicting that it's impossible for most people to see past that deal. So they chase the cash, cash.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, well, what if I do 7 cash deals and then hold 1 Subto deal? And that was my recipe. So 10 years ago, it was 7 in 1, 5 in 1, 3 in 1. And now doing a cash deal, it's a waste of my time. Why would I do a cash deal? I'm going to go chase the same deal that 8,500 other people are chasing. It's a red ocean.
Yeah.
I'm the only person 90% of the time that goes to the seller or goes to the agent with a solution that actually helps them.
I agree.
So you want to get into advanced stuff. Here's an advanced one. So now I call, when we send a text message to people that are in foreclosure, the first thing I ask them is, do you need a loan to stay in your house?
Really?
Yeah. Because I understand
to get all the back payments paid up?
Whatever they need.
Doesn't
even matter. I don't care what they use the money for.
Right.
Do you need a loan to stay in your house? Yes. Who's getting on the phone faster, me or a cash investor?
You.
All day long.
100.
So when you understand the psychology, so what, again, is like, oh, is this really advanced? No, it's understanding your client. That's pretty basic. The client that you're buying the house from is in foreclosure. 90% of them don't want to move.
Right.
They've had their head in the sand. You know this really well.
Yep.
And the reason why they sell 50 cents on the dollar or 60 cents on the dollar is because they've ran out of options and nobody else has given them a better option. Give you a good example of a deal. North Carolina, right down the road from your old home. I just did a deal with a lady named Joy, listed with an agent. I call the agent. I go, hey, sub-2 offer. No, sub-2, we can't do sub-2. She's going to sell the house, this, that, and the other. She needs the equity out of the house. Oh, cool. How much equity does she have? Well, she has $170,000 in equity. She lost her job. It's a thing. I go, okay. So you're listed. She has $170,000 in equity. If I gave her a cash offer, and then by the way, I just put this on my YouTube channel. I'm putting it on the YouTube channel today, the whole Zoom meeting with the seller. I go, Joy, if I gave you a cash offer, here's what would happen. I'd make 15 grand. Then I would assign it to somebody who would fix and flip it, and they'd make 80, 70, 60, whatever. That's all your money. And after I did all these cash deals, and I did help people, I gave them time, convenience, definitely value there. But what I've learned is I go, Joy, I can make more money giving you a loan than I could if I bought it 50 cents on the dollar. And here's how.
Her equity.
I gave her. So what I did is she had $170,000 in equity. Devontae, the seller or the agent, the listing agent, he's listed, but the listing says what? Says foreclosure. If his listing says foreclosure on the public MLS or Zillow,
okay,
are the offers good or worse if they say foreclosure on them?
Worse.
Way worse.
Yes.
So I go, Devontae, as an agent, what if I just brought 40 grand to catch up her arrears, help her get a car, put some cash in her pocket, pay the next 3 months of payments? Now this is advanced.
Okay.
Sub-2 is not advanced. This is advanced because now you actually have to have 40 grand to do this deal.
Okay.
And so I caught her all the way up, gave him an extra 3 months to sell the property so she wasn't in foreclosure. They got a higher list price. They sold it at a higher price. She got $140,000 of her original $170,000 in equity, and I got paid $20,000 on top of my 40. I couldn't have made that much money on a cash deal at all.
Right.
So on a cash deal, I would have robbed the seller of their equity. That's what, I mean, truly, or it's not rob, that's a really strong way of saying it.
Got it.
Because I love wholesale. I love cash wholesaling. But the majority of the time, I'm like, just list it on the MLS. What are you doing? Oh, you can't list on the MLS because you've ran out of time. You dug your head in the sand for way too much time. You have no more time. How about I just bring you up, catch you up on your arrears? So the advanced strategy there is like, I brought money to the table. I held on to her deed. I actually took the deed.
Got it. Now I understand it. So you actually had nothing to do with the real estate transaction.
Nothing.
You were just getting her all caught up, put money in her pocket,
let you guys go sell it.
And you made 20 grand on the top plus your 40.
Yeah, I made 50% return on my 40 in like 32 days.
Got it. Is that considered that's not considered a sub-2?
It's a sub-2. I took the deed.
Oh.
That's an advanced strategy of sub-2. I took the deed. I never recorded it. Now we're getting into the nuance of
Yeah.
I never recorded the deed. I just held on to the deed. And she went and sold it, and I released the deed. So I had full protection. I had ownership and control of the property, but I never had to go through a title process or anything like that. So I own the control. Who helped that seller more than me? Nobody. Devontae's now, Devontae, the listing agent, is like, now he's calling foreclosures going, dude,
right.
I can catch up your arrears. Let me list the property.
Yeah.
When you understand these little tweaks, you make way more money than anybody else on cash, and nobody is competing with you.
Okay.
So what's the hardest part about wholesaling? Let's go back to day one. What's the hardest part? Mindset. Cool. You're great on teaching mindset. You're one of the best. So let's throw that out the window. Second thing is convincing somebody to take a lowball offer.
Right.
But really what that comes down to is that 15 other people are also submitting offers and they're shopping you.
Yep.
Guess who doesn't get shopped?
Yeah.
Okay. And not only do I don't get shopped, I go in there and go, hey, let me guess, all these young kids that are calling you sound like they learned something on YouTube. None of them offered this to you. I can do what they're doing.
Yep.
But I also can do this. Which one do you want? And they go, when can you get on a phone call? So like tonight, I've got like 5 students that are like, hey, will you call my seller or my agent for me and show me how to do this? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. It's every one of these deals is a layup deal. Nobody's competing with me. It's their only solution. And you might ask, are there a lot of these deals?
Tsunami of them.
Tsunami. Think about it. If I only called expired listings, that's all I did. What is an expired listing? Some of the audience doesn't. Seller hires a real estate agent. Real estate agent for 6 months, half a motherfucking year cannot sell that house.
Right.
Seller fires the agent. That listing becomes expired. How many expired listings pop up every 30 days in the country?
How many?
300,000.
Holy shit.
15,000 agents get fired every day nationwide. 15,000 agents get fired every day. They didn't get just fired for like a week's worth of bad work. They had half a year to sell the house.
Had.
So think about it. Do we really have an inventory issue if 300,000 houses didn't sell this month?
No.
We don't have an inventory issue. We have an affordability issue.
Yeah.
So if I can go to the seller and go, hey, I can get your house. I can take the payments. And I'm just going to go find a buyer that needs those payments to move their family in, and I can make a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 arbitrage on it. Are you cool with that? Dude, all day long.
On expired listings.
Anything.
And then we're going to market the property on all the platforms we can market properties on.
Yeah, you can do that. Or a lot of times I just get a real estate agent in town, usually a Hispanic real estate agent. And the Hispanic real estate agents bring their Hispanic buyers to the table that all get paid cash.
Yep.
And they're like, I can't get credit, but I have a ton of cash. And I go, great. You cover my cost to get into the deal plus my $20,000 fee. The house is yours. I'll introduce you and the seller together, and you now make payments directly to the bank.
Got it.
So I can do it that way, or I can just hold them in my portfolio.
So on that deal, the end buyer on that, which is a cash, because right, they're paying cash for the deal.
Yeah, like I've had OnlyFans girls, I've had plumbers, electricians, anybody that's like, I cannot get traditionally financed.
Okay.
Which is 70% of everybody. Everybody.
Yeah. That was me not long ago.
It's almost every one of my friends. They're like, you go make millions of dollars, but then you don't want to pay taxes. So you claim $0 on your taxes. And then you try to go get a bank loan at Chase. And they're like, you make no money, Eric. You're like, I made millions. What are you talking about? Those buyers are also big buyers for me as well. Luxury homes. Like I'll do, I did a $2 million home a couple months ago. I made $300,000 assignment on it. Why? Because they couldn't sell the house. Why? Because the buyers out there in traditional world are having to go out and get 7% rates, and they're looking at that house going, that house is not worth the price plus a 7% rate. And I go, well, how about the house plus the 2.9% rate it currently has? Yeah. And now that makes a lot more sense for buyers. Yeah. So I look at that, I'm like, how is that not the easiest thing on the planet to do?
All right. Now,
of course, I have a portfolio too. I buy these deals. Like I'll give you a last example, and we can dig into some stuff, but I have a young student, Kevin Chow. He blew up last year. He did cash wholesale when he was 19. Couldn't get a deal. Got a deal. Fell off. You know the story. Yeah. And I said, Kevin, come in, join the Subto community. I'll show you exactly what to do. Last year he made $600,000 in assignment. Never left his house. All he was doing is just, I'll take over your payments. Out of his 87 deals, I think I bought like 20 of them here locally. And the average interest rate is 3%. Average interest rate is 3%. And this kid's just making $15,000, $20,000, $15,000, $20,000. And then he's like, wait, why am I assigning all these deals? I should just be buying them. Right. So he bought 50 properties in 1 year, 50 rentals in 1 year as a 21-year-old kid.
Perfect time for me to ask the question.
Yeah.
So on a 21-year-old kid that has 50 rental properties.
Yeah.
All on subject to.
Yeah.
There is in the industry, and I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
The risk of a 21, even me at 43, I do well for myself. But a 21-year-old kid that has 50 rental properties all on subject to, help educate me and the audience, is where is there not risk of, let's say 10 of those properties, 5 years down the road, their situation got better, of the guy actually where the notes in his name with the bank.
Yeah.
10 of them, they get their life together. They went to rehab. Now they're doing better. They got a job. They go to the bank to get a new home. Yeah. And they're like, dude, you got a mortgage already on this house. And he's like, oh shit, dude.
Okay. So you're a cash guy. So I can't imagine you have a big portfolio. You've gone out and leveraged a bunch of debt, have you?
No, I don't. I have a couple houses.
Okay, cool. So anybody that goes and does the BRRRR strategy, how do they get more than one loan?
Against the houses.
Okay, but wouldn't the seller also get a loan against the house?
Got it.
Okay, so the way this is called DTI, debt to income ratio.
Okay.
Okay, so the problem is let's say I make $20 million a year and I want to buy 10 rentals. Does the bank care if I go get 10 rentals? No, the bank's like, dude, you make $20 million. Your debt to income ratio is amazing.
Yeah, go.
What about the person making $75,000 a year that wants to buy one rental a year using the BRRRR strategy? How do they get a second loan and a third loan and a fourth loan? The way they do that is the lender for the second loan will look at the first loan and go, oh, that's being paid for by your tenant. That gets removed from your debt to income ratio. We can approve you for a second loan.
Okay.
Okay. So it's the same thing in Subto. When I take over your mortgage and I'm making the payments, you go apply for another loan 2 days later. Doesn't need to be a year or 5 years later. 2 days later, literally, you can go get another loan because I show your processor, hey, or your underwriter at your loan originator.
Yep.
Here's the payments being made. They remove it from your debt to income ratio.
Got it.
I've never once seen a seller not be able to get another loan.
Okay.
Never once.
I'm not in it to where I just hear it.
Yeah, it's just
They say, I say it, and I'm like, man, is this true?
it's the most uneducated. Like there's so many boogeymans in creative finance, and I'm so grateful for them.
Yeah.
Most of them are the bigger pockets forums. Most of them are people that are like they don't like me because we've been so successful.
Of course.
I mean, you get this too, right?
Yeah.
So they make up stupid boogeyman like the due on sale clause and the other.
That was my next question.
Okay, due on sale clause. I've had that happen 10 times to me. I've had it happen thousands of times to other people I know. I've never once seen somebody ever lose a house to the due on sale clause. Ever once.
Meaning, so explain that. So, like me, I go in.
He's the bank.
Okay.
You get a loan from him. Okay.
Yep.
3%. What he's Wells Fargo.
Yep.
I come to you and I go, hey, Eric, I want to take over your payments. You go, no, done, no problem. I start making payments to Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Wells Fargo finds out I now have the deed. I'm the owner, but the loan is between you and them.
They say, pay me.
They send me a letter. Okay.
They send you. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you do your paperwork properly, and this is where people are like, oh, I don't know how to do my paperwork. Hire a transaction coordinator, dumbass. Like, what are you trying to do paperwork for anyway?
I just want to be real clear. Yeah. I was the original owner that had the note with, and you're making payments.
I hold the deed, which means I'm the owner.
Yes, got it.
And you still have the note in your name.
Let's roll.
Okay. You still have the note in your name.
Yep.
So Wells Fargo finds out. Yep. However they find out.
Yep.
And they send me a letter. And usually it's a 35-day demand.
Okay.
That says, we want to know what's going on. That's
so
it.
It's not pay me.
No.
Got it.
It's, hey, what the heck happened?
Understood.
You're the owner. I have all these letters. They're all exactly the same. They're canned letters. And we reply back to Wells Fargo and we say, hey, we bought the property subject to. We took over the payments, and we're the ones that have been making the payments through our servicing company, blah, blah, blah. Here's the records. 90% of the time, they go, okay, cool, thank you. We now understand what the hell's going on. Keep making the payments.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get a seller or a bank that will go, okay, well, we're going to push forward on the due on sale clause. So what does that mean? They have to foreclose on you.
On you.
They foreclose on me, which means the only reason people foreclose is so the bank can get the deed. They want the deed from me.
Understood.
So they go and foreclose, which means they stop letting you make payments. Okay. Yep. They go, we're going to refuse all payments so you fall in arrears so we can take you to foreclosure.
Got it.
I've never seen anybody get that far.
Okay.
And if you do, this is where it gets a little bit advanced. If you're holding the property, you need to understand how to overcome the due on sale clause. So how do we do that? What was the thing that triggered the due on sale clause? What was the thing that triggered the bank to know I bought the house? It was
maybe when you went to get insurance or no.
No, go to subtoinsurance.com. They take care of all that stuff.
Got it.
You transferred the deed into my name. That's public record.
Okay.
They saw the public record. They see I'm the owner. So if I transfer the deed back to Eric Cline and I repurchase it on a lease option, let's say, that stops the due on sale clause every time.
Got it.
Okay. How did I learn that? I learned that from a bank. Okay. The bank was foreclosing on me for a due on sale clause about 9 years ago. And I asked the bank owner, it was like a small bank, Johnston Bank out of the Midwest. I said, why do you guys care? I'm making the payments. I don't understand. He goes, oh, it's bank policy. And I go, so what should I do? And he goes, oh, just do what all of our other Subto clients do. Just deed the property back to the owner and then repurchase it on a lease option. Probably cost you $200. I go, you guys will accept that? He goes, yeah, every bank will. Done.
Yeah.
So that's what my students do. If they run into the due on sale clause, which we find is about 1 in 5,000 transactions, you'll get the due on sale clause. It does happen.
I get it. Yeah.
I just have never seen anybody lose a house.
Well, it's a scare tactic.
Yeah. It's
Well, not a scare tactic. It's just that, listen, at the end of the day, that's why I'm asking these questions.
of course, yeah.
know?
Usually not usually, 100% of the time you get somebody that says, oh no, the due on sale clause. Not one person knows more about this than me on the planet.
I agree.
This is one thing I've gotten so good at. Hired Dodd-Frank attorneys, hired people I've hired the greatest people on the planet the last 12 years. But when you get people, usually it's bigger pockets. It's a lot of the fuddy-duddy, like old school real estate agent, broker people that do the BRRRR strategy, all traditional finance. They take pride for some reason into using their credit and putting 30% down and getting 8% interest. I don't get it. So they're like, no, the due on sale clause is a real thing. I'm like, yeah, I have. Here's the letter. Here's the proof. Here's the exact steps. I have 9 videos on my YouTube channel showing the letters. Here's how I overcame them. And people still come to me and go, how do I overcome the due on sale clause? I'm like, go to my YouTube channel. It's there.
Wow. With
addresses, with the letters, conversations with the banks. You'll still get people, but not one time, if you ever run into this, one time, somebody brings up due on sale clause to you, go, who do you know that's lost a house to due on sale?
Right. I don't know anyone.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
I hear it. I've never met someone.
It's the same thing with like, if somebody comes to you and goes, oh yeah, I wouldn't do cash wholesale because you'll lose your EMD if your buyer falls out.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah, technically, I guess that's true, but like, why aren't you just canceling during your inspection period?
Right.
It's because they didn't learn from you.
Yeah.
They learned from YouTube,
right.
And they got bad information, and then that becomes the boogeyman in cash wholesale.
Yeah.
Right. There's all sorts of cash wholesale boogeymen that when you hear them, you're like, that's so bullshit. Mm-hmm. Creative finance is the same thing.
Yeah.
There's not one boogeyman I've ever heard of in creative finance. Now, here's where it is real, legit. If you're going to buy any rental, traditional or creative, what are you buying a rental for that you don't know how to manage a property?
What are you buying it for? Right, exactly.
Like people come to me and go, what about Subto deals when the roof goes bad? I'm like, what about the BRRRR deal when the house?
Yeah. What about any house? Yeah.
What does it have to do with creative finance?
Got it.
It doesn't have anything to do with creative finance.
Understood.
Assign the deal and make an assignment fee and that's the cool thing about creative finance. You can assign all these deals. So I look at it and go, let's go pull a list right now. You go pull a list of foreclosures. I think we have something like 1,800 in Maricopa right now. If I go pull a list of foreclosures, 1,800, I would say there's probably 40 to 50 cash wholesale deals in that list, something like that. Creative finance, I'm probably 400, 500. It's by far a 10x margin.
I get it. I'm very, dude, I was super stoked, one, to sit and chop it up with you. But two, again, for 36 months, we did
nothing but cash.
Boatload of cash.
Think about how
deals.
big your portfolio could be.
I understand that. And it's, you hear all these, my story was I didn't get into wholesaling to get into real estate.
Right.
I knew it was going to be for me a burn and turn contract, flipping paper, just because of the last business model I was in. But you hear everybody, like guys like you or guys that have been in the game for a long time, they always talk about the deals they let go or they didn't start acquiring. I did the math in my head for every 7 cash deals, just do one subject to. Dude, I was sitting there like some months we were cash deals. We were doing 25 a month. And I'm like, oh my God, that was 3 subject to deals, 12 months. Holy shit. That was only 1 year.
Yeah.
It was like,
like I just sold. So this is the beautiful thing about Subto as well. I have no money in any of these deals. None, 0, zilch, nothing. And so I bought a deal 5 years ago. You guys know Doug Hopkins? Okay, so Doug Hopkins is a big wholesaler here. You should know him. He's awesome. He spends probably $400,000 a month in like TV.
Oh wow,
he's big here.
Yeah.
Been good friends with him for 10 plus years. And Doug would just send me all his leads that they wanted too much money. Once I learned creative finance, I turned off all my marketing. Why?
It was just a blue ocean.
It's a blue ocean. Still is by far the greatest opportunity.
Yeah.
I go to all the wholesalers and I go, guys, you run into a wholesale deal that wants too much money or has no equity, I'll buy the deal. I'll pay you $5,000.
More leads than you can handle.
More leads than I can handle. So I went to like Jamil Damji, Brent Daniels, some of the like well-known wholesalers, and I just built an entire business off doing nothing but Subto deals because I made way more money. I'll give you a good example. Doug Hopkins come to me, hey, got another seller, has no equity. I go in, I buy the deal, I give him a $5,000 fee. I have closing costs and the agent got paid $5,000, seller got nothing. So I'm into the deal, closing costs, 15, like to close on it, $15,000.
Yeah.
I then have like paint, carpet, blah, blah, blah. So I'm 30 grand is what I need to buy this house. Cool. I go borrow this from a private money partner. They bring 30 grand to the table. I'm no money into the deal. And then I started realizing like I could just pay myself up front on these deals. So what did I do? I started now raising 40. I needed 30, so I raised 45. I took the $15,000 for my today fee. I call it my acquisition fee. So I started getting paid to buy rentals. I looked at my average cash assignment. I was like, it's about 15 grand. Why don't I just go acquire a deal from Doug or Brent or Jamil? I'll go raise the money. Now, who's paying the private money lender and who's paying the mortgage? Well, my co-living tenants are. Okay, now you have to know how to manage assets.
Of course, yeah,
you have to know how to do that kind of stuff no matter what strategy you're in. But when I started wanting to advance and build my portfolio, now that property on Sterling, I just sold it. I've owned it for 4 years. Zero equity, $0 in the deal. I just sold it in 1031 to 390 grand. And the thing that people don't understand is like, you want to make more money, then step one is keep more money.
Keep more money.
I pay $0. I have not paid $1 in federal income tax in 7 years.
Let's go.
I have no idea what cash wholesalers are paying,
Right.
but it's usually like 30%.
Yeah.
So really you go do a $15,000 assignment, guess how much you really made? 10.
Right.
Because you worked for Uncle Sam. I don't work for Uncle Sam. So I figured out how do I acquire rentals, get paid up front, sit and wait on a really low interest rate. The thing appreciates. I sell the thing, I roll it in. So I've got an RV park I'm buying right now where the seller's like, yeah, I'll sell it to you on seller finance, but I want $700,000 down. Cool. I sell 2 single family properties that I bought for no money, got tax benefits on, cash flow for 4 or 5 years. I sell those, 1031 those into my down payment on my RV park. Seller finances the other $2.5 million bucks. That thing makes me 26,000 bucks a month. So it's a game of Monopoly.
Yeah.
I can't do that in wholesale.
No, you cannot.
Wholesale is and always will be one of the greatest games on the planet.
Yep. I agree.
However, it is if you didn't work this month, you're not getting paid next month.
Yep.
And in my business, like I've got a couple of RV parks up in Montana, and they both I bought one for $5 million on seller finance and another one for $2 million on seller finance. They're about a mile away from each other.
Everything you buy.
Why would I use
subject to
seller finance?
seller finance.
Everything.
Everything.
Businesses, my personal homes, cars, everything. Literally everything I own is all on creative
I
finance.
freaking love it.
Everything.
Literally.
I have $500 million in my portfolio. Not one time did I get a loan.
I love it, dude.
So think about that. How often does real estate double? Every 15 years or so, depending on the market. So I have real estate. Let's say I have zero equity in my 500 million. In 15 years, what am I worth?
Yep.
I just sit and wait.
Yeah.
Now, are there big problems? Yeah, there's problems. Like we got rentals, like we have a rental in Phoenix that a pool just went bad and I had to spend $26,000. That sucked. Yeah. Where does that come from? Well, that comes from the cash flow that goes into the reserve accounts and the reserve accounts pay for those things. That's another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But if I'm just a brand new wholesaler and I want to go get a deal today, like Jerry Norton, you're good friends with him.
Love him.
And Jamil Damji, I challenged them to a time challenge. Like we all three of us strap a 10-hour bomb to our chest. We have 10 hours to get a deal.
Yeah.
Who's going to get a deal faster?
You.
Me.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're going after cash and talking to agents and doing whatever. I'll just call an expired listing list or I'll text foreclosures. I go, take over your payments. Can I walk to your house? I don't need a car. I don't need anything but a cell phone. And then what's even better, I get it under contract and I go to the title company. I go, who's the biggest buyer here?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we have this guy does a rental every month. Hey, guy, say his name's Guy. Hey, guy, my name's Pace. I just locked up a property. Financing is included. You don't need a bank loan. You don't need a credit check. We don't need your bank records, tax returns. I don't need your W-2. And the interest rate is 3.6%. I just want a $10,000 assignment fee. You good with that? I'm done.
Let's go.
So when people are like Subto is not for the brand new investor.
Yeah.
If I could go back and start over, I'd only do Subto.
Got it. Well, and we're getting, again, in a week, we're launching another wholesale company here.
Yeah.
And we're not going to miss the boat this time.
Yeah. Let me come in and talk to all your sellers. I'll show you how to do all the things.
So let me ask this, and this is more, and I help people scale. Like I'm all about scaling. And if you have, let's say, 3 acquisition managers on a floor, would you, knowing what you know, would you have someone that just clearly understood this?
Only one.
Just have one.
The other two don't get trained on it at all.
Right.
They don't even know anything about it. It's two different departments.
I agree.
This is how it works in my company. We do cash offer first. Yep. We follow up at least 2 or 3 times. When we realize it's not a cash offer, we go, hey, sounds like this isn't going to work for us. Yep. We have another department that has some interesting other methods that can pay you more money.
Boom, done.
Can I set you up for an appointment? So now you've postured this person up as a higher status person.
Yep.
And then they come in and they offer, hey, I'll take over payments, or I'll do seller finance, or I'll whatever. And that workflow means that your conversion will double or triple. Or triple.
Couldn't agree more.
Double or triple. And here's what you'll need in order to be really successful. You need one really good Hispanic real estate agent. She works typically a female. There's thousands of them. And they work only in the Hispanic community. Man, there's so many amazing things I learned about real estate. One of the things that was so interesting to me is that, do you know the whole Hispanic community buys most of their houses on hard money?
So I'm hearing more about the amazing pool if you can deal with Hispanics.
Oh, it's massive.
Like,
yeah.
Crazy.
It's
and I'm
massive.
hearing it more in the last 30 days than I ever have.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's all over the nation. Like, I got a deal today in Orlando, and I just texted my Hispanic agent. I said, hey, I got another house, $20,000 down, $20,000 to me. You good? Can you find a buyer? She sent me a text on the drive here. She got a buyer. They're good to go. It doesn't matter where you are. Hispanics are amazing. Why? Because they don't trust banks.
Right.
And it's part of their culture. We don't trust banks. There's always a person trying to screw us, interest, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Or they get paid under the table.
Yep.
A lot of contractors get paid under the table, right?
Yep.
So does that mean they're working hard, they're building our country, they're doing all this amazing things? That means that they shouldn't be able to buy a house? No, they just need to realize that the institutions are not the way to go.
Yep, I agree.
Same thing with you as a business owner. Same thing with me as a business owner. For me, like, here's a downfall to creative finance. You've got an owner of this building that you want to buy this property from, right?
Yeah.
The chances of this guy wanting to sell to you on seller finance is not that high.
Well, he was actually open to it.
Okay.
And honestly,
it's usually here. They're not going to give you a deal on the price. They'll give you you'll pay a higher price, but they'll give you good terms. A guy like this probably doesn't want to deal with this property anymore. He wants you to take it all the way over as long as you can get his number.
Yes.
And everybody in the conventional world is going to fight with you. They're all dumbasses. They know 1% less than they should. Yeah. People go, Eric, like, what would the seller sell this building to you for?
So it was it was either 6.3 or 6.8. I forget.
Right. And one of your commercial friends would probably say, buy it at 5.
Yeah.
I'd say buy it at 7. Just ask for no money down and 2% interest with a 15-year note. Mm-hmm. And now you got a better deal than the person that bought it at 5.
Can you do you can do subject to on like a building like this?
Yes.
You do that.
Yes. I've done it on planes, trains, automobiles, businesses, houses, mobile homes, mobile home parks, RV parks. I don't like what's interesting is our community did $10 billion in transactions last year, just Subto, $10 billion in seller finance and $10 billion in cash. So what does that tell you? That tells you only 1/3 of our community is doing cash, and the other 60% are doing creative finance. Why? Because it's way easier. It's way simpler. I can dictate my terms. I'm not going to a loan officer and asking for permission. Yeah. Like, it's interesting now that I've been in it long enough. I'm like, so me and the owner of this building want to work out a deal. And the only thing standing between me and the owner of this building, me, the wannabe owner, and the current owner, is some guy that doesn't have any ownership rights at all, which is the freaking bank.
Yeah.
What do I need his ass for?
Right.
Just so he can come in and charge me a bunch of fees and tell me to give him 30% for, dude, how about this? I just go directly to the seller, cut out all the other bullshit and say, hey, let's figure out a deal here. I'll pay $7 million. Just give me better terms and a longer runway, and I'll make sure you get your $7 million.
Yep.
He'll give you, a guy like that will go, hey, Eric, refinance in 15 years. What will this property be worth in 15 years?
Yeah, a lot more.
15 million.
Yeah. Well, I sat him down and because I was actually days away from signing a contract with him.
Right.
And for whatever, my wife's gut didn't feel right. We just moved here. A lot was going on. And it wasn't on the market. He actually came to us and was like, do you guys want to buy this? Like you guys, you're going to be here for 4 years. Why not buy the building? We're like, cool. Love the building. And in my head, I know. And 3-4 days before we didn't sign the contract, he had ended up, I had my first event here, pissed off all the tenants downstairs.
Of course, yeah.
And he ends up coming and he was like, Eric, you still interested in buying the building? Everyone downstairs pissed off and they're thinking about leaving. And I'm like, all right, well, I told you what I was doing. This is sitting at my conference table right there. And he goes, and I asked him, but I didn't know where to go from there. I literally got lost.
Yeah.
Because I go, John, I was like, hey, John, are you open to selling me this? I said creatively.
Yeah.
And he goes, Eric, I'm open to anything.
Yeah.
And
let me come into the meeting. I'll help you out.
I get, well, and I'm like,
just text me.
I literally
I'll
got lost because he said, yeah, I'm open to it. And super cool.
I'll show him what's so cool about this. Check this out. Like you will, so let's say you buy this thing for 6 million, or let's say it's 7 million.
Yeah.
Okay. You will not pay taxes, federal income taxes, because you bought this building for probably 3 years.
Right. I know.
So I don't know what you paid last year, the year before, in federal.
A shit ton of money.
Millions.
Yes, it's tons, dude.
Okay, millions of dollars. Imagine if you just were able to keep that money.
Yes.
So this is the other thing about people like, oh, you overpaid. Did I? Right. I'm almost no money into the deal. Right. $7 million. Let me tell you what your tax benefit would get on this, okay? This is where it gets it. Subto is simple, but when you start getting into these fun little things, like how much will I save in taxes? Like,
right.
Forget about ownership. Forget about appreciation. Forget about cash flow. How much will it save me in taxes?
Yes.
So let's say you buy this for $7 million, okay? You got to take 30% out because of the land. You can't take tax benefits on land. So we're going to take this and multiply this by 0.7. So you get $4.9 million. In your first year, bro, you'll get a $1.96 million tax benefit.
Which is crazy.
Okay, so people just don't get it.
They don't.
They do not get the game. The game is there's 6 ways to make money on a piece of real estate, okay? So there's the obvious one, cash flow. Cool. You're not going to cash flow here, right? You own this.
Yeah.
Now, you could pay rent from one LLC to another LLC. That's another conversation for another day. But all the properties I own, they all cash flow. Cool. So cash flow. What's another reason why I buy real estate? Appreciation.
Right.
And also the hedge against inflation. That's the scariest gosh damn thing I've ever seen in my life is like you watch the Biden administration just gobble up all of our cash.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get appreciation. Inflation goes up. Guess what happens to my wealth? My wealth goes up.
Yep.
If I'm only doing cash wholesale, what happens to my wealth? A $15,000 assignment today is not a $15,000 assignment 10 years ago when I started. $15,000 assignment 10 years ago is like 25 grand now.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool. So cash flow, appreciation. Number 3 is tax benefits. Depreciation is what we call it. Number 4 is my tenants are paying down my debt for me. Mm-hmm. So that's the making money in your sleep. An average tenant goes and makes a paycheck at their job, Walmart greeter, Target, wherever they're working, and 37% of every tenant's paycheck goes to me. That's leverage. I go to Disneyland, everybody else sees a bunch of people in line that are annoying, and I look around and I go, 37%. So I have 2,000 doors. Yeah. Which means 2,000 people woke up this morning, went and worked 37% of their morning for me, and they don't even know my name. That's leverage. That's wealth. Leverage. Yeah. And then so that's cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, pay down. Number 5 is leverage. Right. So every once in a while, I'll go, man, I got a big purchase, and I need a big down payment. I got a $5 million purchase, and the seller wants 10% down. That's $500,000. I don't have $500,000.
Right. So
what I do is I go to a private money lender, and I go, hey, I got a house over here that has $500,000 in equity. Can I get a home equity line of credit against this property from a private money lender? I take that $500,000 and I go buy another property. Well, how did I do that? Well, I bought the property and it paid down and it went up and I got appreciation. The 6th way that I make money in real estate is the story. What does that mean? That means when I go...
The story?
The story.
Okay.
I get more... My lead flow comes from story, which means this. I tell the story of Doug Hopkins bringing me a deal that had no equity, and I made $300,000 on it, and I paid Doug $5,000 for just the lead. I gave him $5,000 for the lead.
Yeah.
What do you think happens to my inbox? So the story actually, ironically, has made me more money on every deal than anything else.
Love it.
So, and there's always a reason why somebody sells Subto or seller finance. On the seller finance side, this guy will sell. He probably has a loan on the property. Yes. I bet you he owes probably somewhere around $3 million on it, and he has $1 million or $1 million or so tied up. So what you would do is you'd go to him and go, all right, what do you want? What was his number? 6.2.
It was between 6.3 and 6.5.
See, and this is the funny thing too about people that do cash deals.
Yeah.
Those price point things are so important to people in cash. They are so insignificant to me.
Right.
I go, what's the number you want, seller? Because that's the one thing I'm not going to beat you up on. You tell me the number that's going to make you happy. You wave a magic wand. You say the number within reason. Right. What's the number that you'd feel like in 5 years you'd be like, I won that battle?
Yep.
Seller says 6.7. Okay, great. If I commit to the 6.7, can I start beating you up on some terms? Can we shelf that, put that here, 6.7? Seller says, yes, cool. In order for me to get you that 6.7, I need a couple of things. I need a low or no money down because I'm already in here renting the property. Right. And I need a low interest rate. And then I need a long fuse. I need 7 to 10 years to stabilize. And then I'll refinance you out and you'll get all your 6.7. And the seller 99% of the time says, okay, all right, well, how does that work? You got to whiteboard it a little bit.
Right.
And they go, done, let's do it. Now, why is it so good for this seller too? Because the seller, I imagine, has a gain on this property. I don't know what he bought it for. You could pull that up. Yeah. But he probably bought it for 5, wants to sell it to you for 6.3. So in his mind, he's going to have a $1.3 million gain. How much is that's going to Uncle Sam? 35%.
Yeah. Right.
So he's going to pay $400,000 in capital gains tax off your cash transaction. How about you just go to him and go, I can show you how to keep that $400,000 on top of the 6.7. I can show you how to keep that $400,000 by mitigating most of the capital gains tax. Mm-hmm. So in essence, it'd be like if he sold it on cash for 7.2.
Yeah. We need to talk about this one, Pace.
Yeah,
because I love the building.
Yeah, of course. It's one of the nicest buildings I've been to. It's incredibly nice. Your location could not be any more perfect.
Yeah. My wife needs to hear that.
Yeah.
You know this area better than we do.
I don't live up here because I'm Mormon, so we hang out with all the Mormon people down in Mesa. But if I'm going to live up in Scottsdale, this is the spot. Yeah. You're the king, bro. Look at you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You see all the private jets landing all day long.
It's amazing.
So anyway, on the back to the last point I'll make. If I have to start all the way over, I'm not spending 1 minute on a cash deal. I don't want to spend my time doing the game of wholesale is the game of follow-up.
It is. You got to have it dialed in. That's why, again, the numbers I was doing, I'm not tooting my own horn. Very few will ever do what I did.
You killed it on follow-up. You had good systems.
I had it all.
You built it scaled.
Yep.
And you knew your KPIs. Your team was following. If they weren't following up, you knew.
Yeah.
And most wholesalers need to learn that.
Right.
But with creative finance, I don't need to follow up. I just get the deal in the first call.
Yeah.
They go, wait, what? They're begging me.
Yep.
I want to know more. So Subto is easy in that regard. Assigning it is very easy in that regard. People forget that Subto is probably more often assigned than it is kept.
Really?
By a long shot.
Okay.
Most people are brand new in Subto, so they go, hey, seller, are you okay? Like I just made a post yesterday about a seller that says, hey, you sent us an offer 3 months ago. My wife was the agent. She laughed at you about your offer about taking over our payments. Will you take over our payments today? Happens all the time. Sure, but I just want to let you know I'm not the buyer. I'm going to go find a buyer. Are you okay if that buyer pays me a $20,000 fee? Guy's like, I don't care. As long as I can get my $10,000, you can have the keys to the house.
Yeah.
So I do that so many times where I just tell the seller straight up, I'm not the buyer. Why? Because I know nobody else is trying to do what I'm doing.
Right.
In wholesale, with that seller, by the way, Eric, I won't even get a contract.
Yeah.
In wholesale, you get the contract, you get the memorandum, you protect yourself at all costs, you record all the conversations. Me in a Subto deal, I go, how about you just give me a verbal that I can market your property? Send me an email. I'll go market it, and I know I'm the only one that's willing to do this, like one step, and I'll make $20,000.
Yeah.
There's no competition. The seller needs the solution. I don't need to comp the price. Like that's the crazy thing too. How many times do you think I've ever comped a Subto deal?
Right.
Never once. So you remove comping from the situation?
Bro.
No wait. I can just say take over payments and then find somebody who's willing to take over the payments and make a $20,000 fee?
Oh, it's open. So in my head, because when I ran my operation, I had it to where 28 to 32 leads on cash, 28 to 32 leads from a cold, my whole
That's really good. Yeah.
was cold
That's
calling.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. 28 to 30. But
For cold calling, it's phenomenal.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm like, holy smokes. What could it really be?
I bet you out of cold calling, if you guys are like calling high equity, non-super motivated people, because if you're doing that much volume, you're probably not calling just niche lists. You have to expand outside
Literally
of that.
absentee owner and owner occupied.
Okay, cool.
30 to 100%.
So you probably would at least double, maybe triple your conversion.
I agree.
If you were doing foreclosures, you were doing expired listings, you were doing those types of leads, you'd quadruple or 5x your conversion.
Yeah, I agree.
Because those people already couldn't sell the house.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my gosh. If you go pull, where'd you get your list from?
For the longest, or our call center now sources.
Okay, cool. So if you go pull a list right now, this is a nugget for everybody at home. You start with filter, it says low equity.
Yeah.
You want 5% equity or less. Add the filter of less than 4% interest rate, because that dictates a really great deal. Yeah. It's crazy that these filters exist. When I started, they didn't exist.
Yeah.
And then you go on market over 100 days. This is a layup list.
Yes. And there's a ton of them.
900 right now in Maricopa County.
God.
900.
Yeah.
That are like, dude, we can't sell the house. It's got a 4% rate and has no equity. Who will you take over the payments?
Yeah.
Like I've got a deal. I just got a deal a couple hours ago, and the guy, let's see, Peyton, he sends me a deal. He says, "Hey, 2.9% rate. Seller says, take the keys. Give me $1,000."
And that's where?
Right here in Phoenix.
Here.
Yeah, 3.6% rate. Mortgage is 1420. I can rent it out for $2,400.
Give me the owner wants $1,000.
Yeah, bro.
Or Peyton wants 1,000.
Peyton wants 5,000.
So you're $6,000.
I'm $6,000 into a $400,000 house that has a 3.6% rate. And I just get these text messages all day long from people that learned how to cash wholesale, that they are so in their mind. I'm like, guys, it's so simple. What's the mortgage payment? What can it rent for?
Yeah.
That's how you comped it. That's it. Or more importantly, like you live in your home. How much does your home cash flow you? None.
Yeah, it cost me.
So think about this. Does the end buyer care if the property cash flows or not? No, they're buying it to make babies and build their future and do work from home. They don't care about the cash flow. So even if the deal, let's say it's a $1,400 mortgage payment you're taking over and you can only rent it for $1,600, that's not a great deal, right? Because you got to have management and buffer and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Dude, that's so easy. Just assign that to an end buyer and say, hey, take over the $1,400 payment. They don't, bro. Are you kidding me? They'd pay $1,900. Now, you want to get into advanced strategies, we could talk about wraps and we could talk about, that's more advanced. But assigning a Subto deal is the lowest hanging fruit in real estate.
So somebody you're sitting here spitting this, you've been doing this for years and you can tell, right? We were getting ready to implement it in our last wholesale company that we had. And when I started talking, I honestly, it gave me anxiety. I was like, I was more confused trying to explain it. And after I got done explaining it, I'm like, they definitely didn't know what I said because I said. So there's got to be a pretty streamlined way of looking at these deals and underwriting them. Right?
Yeah. I mean, just go to my YouTube channel and you'll hear me talking to sellers. Like I'll go and make a whole playlist where I get the first call I ever make to a seller. I go sit down with them in person, 2-hour meeting. I speak very slowly, way slow, because we're on a podcast. It's quick timeline. Then I have a third call with them. Then I get their testimonial. Then I do the walk through the property. I show the exit strategy. I show, I go all the way through the gamut, A to Z. There's not one syllable that was spoken on that deal that was not recorded and put into a playlist.
Got it. And we can find that where?
On YouTube.
On your YouTube.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah.
Love it, dude.
I hold nothing back. And so I I mean, I wish YouTube wasn't so algorithm sensitive. I'd just freaking dump all my stuff on there. But the problem is not everybody wants to watch a 45-minute seller call.
Yeah.
You know, and me explaining.
Well, if they were smart.
If they were smart, yeah. But that's the thing too, is like you'll see people on, and look, I've said a lot of things about BRRRR and reference them. They've been so amazing and I love them. I'm mostly talking about one of the strategies they really, really focus on that is, dude, it's dead right now.
It's dead.
Nobody's doing the BRRRR strategy, really. I shouldn't say nobody. It's 10% of people are doing it right now. 90% of them are on the sidelines. But I look at BRRRR and I'm like, dude, if you guys just were talking about creative finance more often, the amount of transactions, the amount of expired listings that aren't being helped, the amount of sellers that need to be helped that nobody's even touching. Yeah. I could have an army of 400,000 people. My community is 35,000 people.
I was going to say, you got probably the biggest.
Nobody's even 1/10 of me. Like most people are like, oh, my community's 1,000 people. I'm like, bro, like,
yeah. The number I heard floating around was between 7,500 and 12,000. So you have a community of 35,000 people.
35,000, yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, but we still can't touch all the opportunities. There's so many opportunities that we still, like Spencer Caldwell, a good friend of mine here, you'll get to know him. He does 60 deals a month here locally.
Really?
60, but he's just JVing, right? You bring him a deal, he sells.
Got it, okay.
And he's making 1,500 from you and 1,500 from his buyers, but he sees 60 deals.
Yeah.
He also owns a bidding service at the auction house. And he says, Pace, once you came out, foreclosures got cut in half.
Wow.
And I'm like, why do you think that is? He goes, because your students are buying up all the foreclosures Subto. You literally stopped half of the foreclosures.
Let's go.
So I start calling other auction houses nationwide. They're like, oh my gosh, dude, all these people are buying Subto deals. You guys have cut the foreclosures in half across the country. I'm like, okay, why isn't it 100%? Why are we not at 100%? There's 100,000 people that will get foreclosed on the next 90 days. Why are those people not being helped?
Every 90 days, over 100,000 people get foreclosed on?
Yeah, currently,
roughly.
Right, yeah, right, the way the market is right now, yeah.
Yeah.
In 2008, it'd be $100,000 or 100,000 people a day.
Yeah.
But right now, it's about 100,000 people every 90 to 120 days. Wow. Yeah. They lose their home, which means they listed the property, and I can guarantee you 50 cash wholesalers invested and called them.
Yeah.
If those two people couldn't help them, why are they getting foreclosed on?
Right.
Because nobody went and said, I'll just take over your payments and save your credit.
Yeah.
Last story I'll tell. I could tell stories all day long.
Dude, this has been phenomenal, bro. I've learned so much.
This is the funnest business ever. So there's a guy, I do agent challenges where I'll show people like, here, let's just call agents. I don't love calling agents. I love direct to seller like you.
Yeah.
I'm a direct to seller guy.
Yeah.
But for a new person, calling an agent is a little bit of a buffer for them to not have to worry about like knowing everything to say, because the agent kind of picks up the slack.
Okay.
So I tell newer people like, hey, if you're me, you're going direct to seller.
Yep.
I want to know what's actually going on with the house and what's actually going on with the situation. The agent complicates that. But when you're brand new, it's great. So I do a challenge every month for about a week, and I show people, here's how to call agents, and here's 11 ways you can make money with agents. 11 ways.
Yep.
People are like, what do you mean 11 ways? Like, isn't it just getting that house? I go, no. It's never, like most of the time I call an agent, I never buy the house I'm calling about. The house is like the lubrication for the conversation.
Got it.
So this story is a great story because it shows you all the cool ways that I make money. But this agent, I call her, let's say 123 Main Street. We're talking to her. We send her an LOI, letter of intent, like a soft offer. And Susan is her name. She's pissed off. She's rude. And I said, hey, Susan, I get it. Maybe this house isn't going to work for us, but there's two smart people on the phone right now. And if we were really smart, we'd make money together. Can I tell you some other ways I make money with agents? She goes, oh, okay. That's kind of weird. Okay. I said, do you ever talk to people in foreclosure that call you? They want to list their house, but they want to figure out how to stay in their house. They're trying to do a loan modification. They're doing it. She goes, oh my God, all the time. I go, I'm the guy that solves those people's problems. I can keep them in their home, stop their foreclosure, and I can make money on that transaction where if you ever refer somebody to me that's in foreclosure, wants to keep their house, guys, send me deals, okay? You have foreclosures where the sellers want to stay in the house. So common. Call me. She goes, oh my gosh, I had a listing last week, a guy named Tim. It's his dream home. He is getting foreclosed on. Man, maybe I got to do this for like your community. I'll do a Zoom breakdown with the whiteboard because this is a little bit of a complicated deal. I get on the phone with Tim. I go, hey, Tim, my name's Pace. I got your number from Susan. She said, you want to keep your house, but you're in foreclosure. What's going on? He tells me the story. And I go, why don't I just buy your house from you? And I'll lease it back to you. And I'll resell it to you in a year. And he goes, you can do that? I go, yeah, I can do that. So I catch up his arrears. I catch up all his stuff. I buy the house from him at $350, and I resell the property to him at $498. So I make $148,000 on the deal. Now he's paying me cash flow. He paid me some money up front. It's a complicated deal.
Yeah.
On that one deal that the seller wanted to stay in the house, I didn't have to like deal with tenants, didn't have to do anything with it. I will make minimum $148,000 on that deal. Minimum. On a deal the seller didn't want to sell.
Right.
Didn't even want to go through an agent. How many deals are out there right now just like that where people are like, I got an email from a guy, I'm talking to him tonight, sends me an email, this came from YouTube, and he says, hey, can you, Justin Fogg, here he goes. Sends me an email right here yesterday. I hope this message finds you well. My name is Justin Fogg. I'm reaching out because I'm facing a possibility of foreclosure on my home. I'm seeking advice of potential solutions. Ideally, I would like to stay in my home. I'm getting cash offers all day, every day. However, I saw a recent video of you helping a seller stay in their home.
Let's go.
So the story is, well, just bring me these deals. So what I'll do is I'll buy his house Subto, and I'll lease it back to him, and I'll give him a lease, 2-year lease, with an option to buy it from me at $100,000 higher than I bought it for, locking in $100,000. And if he doesn't buy it, I'll just go sell it on the market, retail, and I'll evict him. Why? Because he's not the owner anymore. I am, and I evict him, not foreclose.
Right.
These are the advanced strategies. But assigning a sub-2 deal is child's play.
So many.
There's so many ways to make money. So many ways to make money in real estate that it's a blue ocean.
It really is, man.
Yeah. And so, of course, when I talk about it really fast and there's a timeline on a podcast, people are like, oh my gosh, he's talking so fast. Let's go to my YouTube channel, watch me actually talk to the sellers and watch me pitch them. And the sellers, 99% are like, why has nobody brought this up to me?
Yeah.
This sounds like a scam.
Well, listen, if you don't know what you don't know, and people that don't know anything about it, they badmouth it, right?
Well, when I got into cash, I imagine this is how it was for you. So I got into cash in 2012. Okay. Cash wholesale. I got my first deal in January of 2012. And I told my buddy Ben I was going to be in wholesale. And he goes, oh, you're going to be one of those guys that robs old ladies their equity. I'm like, and I really took that to heart.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I've literally never ran into one of those situations. Right. I know you haven't either, where I made a lot of money on a lot of houses, but every time there was a seller on the other end going, thank you for saving my butt.
I agree.
Every time. But at the time, somebody who works at the Apple store was bending my ear and making me feel like I was going to be a scam artist.
Yeah.
Now I look at him still working at the Apple 12 years later, and I'm like, bro, how dare I ever let you put doubt in my mind? Right. So it's the same thing with creative finance. You'll get people that put doubt in your mind, but it's no different than anything else.
I am super stoked to learn more about it, get more educated on it, and just clean house.
Yeah. When you guys have leads,
literally,
have me come up here once a month. I'll drive up here and I'll hang out with your acquisition team and we'll go through some leads that are like no equity, seller wants too much money. I'll call them and I'll help train your creative guy. You don't want to train your other cash guys. Keep them cash. No. Because you got that dialed in so well.
Yeah.
But on the cash side, you focus on that. Have one guy that knows both.
Yeah. And
I'll come up and I'll spend time with him and maybe I'll spend some time with him on Zooms. Just let me buy some of the deals.
Dude, done.
Legit, I'll make $2-3 million with you in a year just dealing with your crap leads.
Yeah. And I know you don't know much about me, man, but we can pump some volume.
Oh, I know that. We know that about Eric Cline.
Yeah.
For sure.
And me and Tony are launching the company. He's getting the office set up right now. And
is he moving here?
We all moved here together.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Tony's here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He always wanted to come here. He never wanted to go to North Carolina. He was miserable there. This is his sandbox. He's got the off-road trucks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, Pace, I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Coming on here and really clearing the air for me, but more importantly, man, clearing the air for the people that are listening.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you that I needed to hear that today going into building another wholesale operation, but more importantly for my community. Like, I go on there not knowing as much as I did after sitting here and listening to you talk, and I know there's so much more, but it's like I can now defend the fact that, man, you just don't have the right information.
And at the end of the day, our job is to help sellers out of their situation and make money doing so.
Yeah.
And if I have more tools in my toolbox to help more sellers, instead of like every time a sales guy in my wholesale business would say, this seller's crazy, they want too much money, I'm like,
they're not crazy.
They're not crazy. You're crazy. You don't understand how to structure the deal to make sure everybody wins. And creative finance is the only strategy I know where the seller gets what they want and I get paid more than if I gave them 60 cents on the dollar. It's the craziest thing. I wake up, I pinch myself. I'm like, how did I get so effing lucky to learn how to do this?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it just gets so much easier.
It gets easier. Yeah.
Wholesalers, we work really, really, really hard to get a deal.
Yeah. And I would also, push hard on everybody out there. Wholesale, sorry guys, I'm going to hurt some feelings of my best friends. Wholesale is not meant to be a forever business.
No.
It's a gateway drug to go build a portfolio.
I agree.
Or to sell your wholesale business, or to start other verticals like you've done a really great job of. It's the gateway, right?
I agree.
So think about, like, I bought an RV park last year for $5 million, 4% interest. The thing nets me about $30,000 a month. And nobody at the park knows who I am. The manager who manages the property, she lives there and she manages the property. I've never met her before. I don't know anything about anything. I stop by there and I feel like a foreign. I'm like, I own this thing? And it cuts me a check for $30,000 a month. Imagine if you're a wholesaler, you're like, I want to do 2 deals a month. Guys, that RV park gives me 2 checks worth of wholesales every single month without doing $1 or like any amount of work at all. I have a management team that lives at the property. You got to own some assets. And wholesaling is amazing, and wholesaling sub-2 deals are amazing. Wholesaling seller finance deals are amazing. The guy who brought that RV park to me, he made $60,000 on the assignment fee. And then what happened is about 6 months out, his name's Jordan Reyes. Shout out to Jordan. New student in my community, 2 weeks in, he goes, I want to make a big fat check. I go, bring me an RV park, I'll buy it. You'll make 50 to 75 grand. He makes 60 grand and he thinks, I just hit the freaking jackpot. Nobody else could get this RV park done. Pace picked up the lead, took the thing to the end zone. And then 6 months later, he's like, why the hell did I let that thing go? You've collected $180,000 and I made 60.
Yeah.
And now it's a year and a half out, even after that. And I've made, I don't know, $300,000 or $400,000. Right. So guys, at the end of the day, it is about holding an asset that prints money. I wouldn't get into Airbnb, stay away from Airbnb. It's a dying market. Co-living, RV parks, mobile home parks, small, like B-class multifamily deals. And you'll build a portfolio like a Zach Keeps. And like Zach Keeps, one of my best friends.
Love him.
Love him so much. He helped me in my beginning journey. And he's one of the greatest guys ever. And he wholesales some deals, but have you had him on the show?
Yeah, I've had him. I was just at a football game with him Sunday.
He's one of the greatest guys ever, and his business model is amazing. And he hundreds of single family homes. He's probably worth $75 million. Low key, just wholesales a couple of deals every week, buys a new deal, 2 deals every month. Guys, that's the perfect business model at the end of the day. Hold assets. Wholesale is just the gateway drug.
I agree. Dude, thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Hey, until next time, y'all. Listen, sub-2, it is, it's not a bad thing. It is 100% something everybody, if you're in this game, you got to understand this strategy. I know I'll be doing it. Thank you, Pace. Go follow this man if you're already not following him. But until next time, y'all. Hey, what's going on? I want to congratulate you for making it to the end. What does that mean? You're in the 1% club. No one else stuck around. You did. What I want you to do is subscribe. More importantly, comment below. That way I know exactly who you are and we can get to know one another. every single week by you turning your notifications on, you're not gonna miss the sales training that's gonna keep you in this 1% club. Comment below, subscribe. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Let's continue to refuse to lose.